Hey everyone, we are back with another agent interview to dig into real telesales experiences and numbers and get insights from agents that are in the trenches every single day and hear what they have to say about the business. I don't want it all coming from me. I want you guys to hear from other agents and their journey because everybody has a different path in this business. All right. So today we're going to hear from another independent agent. He's been with us for about 2.5 years now. He writes $20,000, over $20,000 a month consistently in our 20K club. So let's bring him on. Jared,
Hey everyone.
how's it going?
It's going well, Jeff. It's nice to see you.
All right. So, thanks for taking the time to share your experience with us in the business. And I want to start here by just asking you to just tell us a little bit about yourself, right? Where you're from and how you got into this business.
Yeah, sure. Gladly. So my name is Jared Fauble. I am originally from Northeast Ohio, and then I went to school in Pittsburgh. I was in New York City for many years as a working actor, TV, film, national tours, New York theater, stuff like that. And then transitioned when I got married and wanted to start a family into real estate sales. And then so specifically with real estate, I focused on low income housing. So I was helping a lot of homeless people and low income people uh, get apartments when they were, unhoused. So then COVID hit. And so real estate obviously completely shut down in New York. And I was just kind of searching tangential things that were kind of similar to what I was doing, that where I felt like I was helping people in a specific way. And so I came across actually your videos and one other, just like a YouTube wise individual in the insurance business, and it sounded really, really good. It sounded like something to investigate, and so I did some investigation into remote work and telesales, because at that point I was still doing real estate, but it was all remotely. And I really liked it because I was able to help people, but I didn't have to travel to all the sites and didn't have to go to the landlord's office and I was actually just constructing these very complicated, like Section 8 deals over the phone, and it was awesome. And so then I found you guys online, did a little bit of research, and got licensed and reached out, had a wonderful chat with Elise, who's still with y'all, and came aboard, and the rest is history.
Awesome. Well, let's dig into that business because you joined us in August of 2021. All
Mhm.
right. And over that 5 months, you wrote $117,000 of annual premium
Mhm.
in 5 months, just starting. And let's be clear here, you didn't have any experience in the business, right?
None. No, no, no. Very much learning on the fly, but with a lot of guardrails and support.
Got it. So the next full year, 2022, your first full year, I should say,
Mhm.
you wrote $304,000 of annual premium. Your unique closing rate was 14% on our TV calls.
Mhm.
And just so when I say unique closing rate, that doesn't include spouse sales or referrals. It would be much higher if we factor that in. That's just you take a call. How many of those calls did you close? Right,
Mhm.
14%. So that must have been a really tough year for you.
Yeah, I mean, it feels like forever ago. I think that there was, because in 2021 I was doing outbound for the majority of it,
Okay.
and then so I switched over at the very end of 21 into 22 into TV sales, and I think there was a steep learning curve of the different way of going about your business, going about your conversations, when to push, when not to push, what to emphasize, what not to emphasize, and just kind of going through the repetitions of it until you really create a framework that then you can start talking to people like people. I think in the beginning, it's definitely great to it's always good to lean on the resources you have, the script that you have. It's good to lean on the processes that you know, but the goal is to have that so ingrained inside you that then when you're talking to someone, you're just talking to someone with a problem. I might be able to help, and if I can help, I will. And so I would say in 22 there was a learning curve with that, and plus just life stuff. We moved across state. We had a 2.5, or well, now a 2.5-year old. My son was born. We were researching houses. We bought a house, things of that nature that all of a sudden kind of messes with your flow a little bit. But
Totally.
ultimately, everything was in service of building my skills and creating that snowball effect of skill to where it can just kind of roll from then on. So I mean,
Yeah.
the longer you stay in it, the more it kind of just works itself out. You just gotta kind of gut through it.
Yeah, and that's what I try and tell newer agents. Like you need a runway. You got to give yourself a runway here, and those who have a longer runway make it work. And
Yeah.
so yeah, and you did just that. So in 2023, last year, you wrote $318,000 in final expense premium. However, your unique closing percentage jumped to 20%. So you're 14% in 2022. You jumped to 20%. So almost a 50% increase in closing rate. And
Mm.
so that must have been a very profitable year for you.
Yeah, last year was wonderful. I mean, last year was exactly what I hoped doing this would be. The bills were paid, putting a little aside, supporting my family, you know, improving our quality of lives while doing so in a manner that I was able to still be active as a husband and a father and a friend and, active in my church community and being able to just feel empowered to do things without wondering, oh, is the electric bill going to get paid? So it
Right.
created a really nice kind of homeostasis.
And and you also renovated your house, right? Last year.
Yeah, no, yeah. So the home that we
Oh,
bought last year, then we put a ton into,
yeah.
and now it's gonna about to be put back on the market because essentially, unbeknownst to me, maybe this was my wife's plan all along. We're flipping it and we're building a house in an area that we've always loved and are very excited about. So I mean the leaps that this business has empowered my family to take in terms of quality of life, vision of what we're trying to accomplish, and being able to enjoy it and not feel um, strapped emotionally or like isolated from each other has honestly it's been very very rewarding and wonderful.
Awesome. Yeah, and so far this year, you've stepped down production a little bit.
Mhm.
You've written over 130,000 so far this year. Great, still great production, but stepped down from previous years. But your unique closing percentage went from 20% to 22%.
Mhm.
Like that, I mean, you can tell your experience is catching up, and you're just writing more of the people you talk to. You're not talking to a lot more people, but I think there's something behind that, right?
Yeah, so in 2023, like I said, we moved, and so my wife in 2023 was stay-at-home mom. So she was just she was working. I was the only one that was working and making income for the family, and so therefore I was working full-time hours and had to pull more of a full-time position with flexibility, which is awesome. This year, my wife has been very fortunate to now she heads up a very, very successful education program at a theater in a very kind of prominent theater in our area. And so my ability to adjust my work hours in order to empower her to pursue something that is not only financially rewarding for her and therefore our family, but emotionally is very rewarding for her. It's her passion outside of our family. I mean, that's been wonderful. And so the ability for me to be able to control my own like reins and dial back on my end so that she can go more full throttle on her end. And, maybe I take a little bit of a cut in production, but she's more than making up for it on her end. Meanwhile, my son is not left out in the cold at all. And we're still just as committed. He's always with one of us or my in-laws or my parents and we're always out doing things. It's again just the freedom of it can be scary if you don't control it, but the freedom of it is what allows you to build what your lifestyle is like. And so it's so rewarding and atypical to like being a W-2 employee somewhere.
Absolutely. And the thing that caught me here is that you know you mentioned control. Like you can have control of your lifestyle, and what would when I see you on a daily basis and our queues and all that, right? You're in the queue every day. You're fighting for approvals. Like we see the lengths you're going to get your clients approved, right? You're keeping your clients engaged,
Mhm.
but you're just consistent in that. You have control, and you know what you need to do to provide, but also be there for your son, right? As your wife
Mhm.
is exploring her passion. But you have that control, and that's the thing where I think agents have trouble is they get that control and then they lose control. They don't do the
Mhm.
work. They don't do much, but you're putting in the effort. Like when you're in your seat, you're working. Like
Yeah.
you're there, you're taking calls because you have no other choice. You have your son, you have to, you have to provide, you have to do all these other things. Right. So what do you attribute to your consistency in this business? Because to go from a year of 14% closing rate to 20%, 22%, and seeing you in the queue every day and seeing how um, like all the great questions you ask and all the great feedback you give us, like you're on it. What do you
Mhm.
attribute to your consistency in this business?
I mean, I don't want to just completely be a cheerleader, but I also mean it when I say it. The infrastructure and structure that digital provides allows me to limit what my focuses need to be. So I know that if I am sitting here at my desk and I log into the queue because I take call-ins, I know something is coming in. I know I'm going to have that conversation. I'm going to work it as hard as I can, and then I will do that for the time that I have for that day. And so because it is something that I can just get myself ready for, barrel through it for a maybe a shorter period of time than ultimately I would love, but is what is needed to be done in order to have the lifestyle I want. It allows me to just focus on, I know I need to work a couple hours today. In my day, I have these 4 hours or these 5 hours because I've scheduled everything for the week with my wife and my son and everyone because we know when we're all free. And then for those 5 hours, do the work and then be done.
Uh huh. And so those 5 hours a day, taking TV calls, income wise, net income wise, 5 hours a day, full control, working the
Mhm.
hours you want, able to do all that. Net income wise, I don't want to ask you an exact number. Are you clearing net over $100,000 a year?
This year, it's going to be around that, probably a little over it.
Okay. Last year was well over it though, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So, and you're working 5 hours a day,
Yeah, five. I
and
mean,
you're
and
allowed.
it's not, and it might not. Some weeks it is a straight five, like Monday through Friday, five, 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 five. Some days it's Monday is 9 hours, and then I can't
Yeah.
work Tuesday. Like, but ultimately, it kind of is working itself out to about 5 hours a day.
Okay. That that's amazing, and the fact that you can do that for be there for your son and allow your wife to explore her passion at the same time, provide an income at this level,
Mhm.
that's incredible. So,
It's
um,
lifestyle building. I mean, it is a
yeah,
job, but it's a job where you're helping people. You get to talk to really interesting people, which is something I like doing. And you're creating your own lifestyle where you can prioritize what you prioritize. If I need to work longer in a given month, I will. If I'm able to work less in a given month, I can. So as long as you stay disciplined enough and follow your reports and follow your bank account, you know when you need to work a little more or when you can dial it back a little bit. As long as you keep tabs on it, you can make it what you want to make it.
absolutely. So, we've seen your sales percentage keep increasing.
Mm.
My question is, and I wrote this down because I want to know what you're doing to see that increase year over year. Like you're getting better and better. Is it just a matter of you've had 1,000+ presentations and that you're just better, or do you do what do you do? What are you doing to keep increasing your sales percentage?
I mean, there's definitely truth to the first part. Just the longer you do it, you figure out how to. I mean, it's probably about getting around objections. I would say that's the
Yeah,
biggest thing. And
for
I
sure.
would say that the mastery of the script was, or making the script work for me and the verbiage that I use. Um, comes with time and comes with repetition. But the big thing would just be not having to overthink objection rebuttal, because you get kind of the same 5 to 7 objections usually. And so the moment that you hear it and it doesn't like go, oh, I have to, but you're just like, oh, right, yeah, let's talk about that. And then I, with, ease, can speak with them about that objection versus confronting them with it,
Yes.
and the tone is all about, okay, well, if that's an objection, that's a pain or a problem point for you or a confusion for you. So if you're objecting, that means you have a question. What is your question? Because again, I'm here to get you this information so you can make the decision for yourself. So if you have an objection, that just means you don't have the information yet, because if you had the information, it would either be a yes or a no. So an objection just means you don't have all the information yet.
100%. Love that. Love that. And you only get that with experience. You got to take the calls to get that comfort to turn an objection into a conversation rather than a confrontation,
Mm-hmm.
which is something that a lot of new agents do. They get an objection, they roll their eyes, and they're like, they probably lose a little bit of their breath, and they just read something that they were taught on a script, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you can turn that into a conversation and get comfortable with it like that, I can see now why their closing percentages keep increasing, because you're just getting more comfortable. You've seen it before. You know how to handle it, right? You've seen
Mm-hmm.
this pitch. So
And the community. I mean, I steal ideas constantly from people that share things in the trenches training that we've had at times, conversations in the agent chat, things that you've posted on YouTube. Like, you never know what the key is going to be that unlocks all of a sudden like a wave of skill that was just, one idea away from becoming entirely yours to own. So, there have been times where like a fellow agent's brought up, oh, well, when that happens, I kind of say this. And I go, oh my God, I never even thought to say that. And then the moment that you do that, all of a sudden, like 7 other things fall into place. And it's like,
yeah,
oh man, 6 months ago, I never would have got that deal 6 months ago. And now like, can't wait, because that's a problem that I know a lot of other agents will give up on. And it's like, no, 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 I know how to work that. And not only do I know how to work this particular objection or this particular problem because I'm good at it, that's going to be a client that actually stays on the books for me. And they get helped when other times others would have given up on them.
absolutely, absolutely. So you mentioned you work call-ins, so you work our TV calls.
Mm-hmm.
Why? Like, when does that work for you?
Time. It's all about time. It is, I don't know what hours I'm necessarily going to be available on a given day. Hopefully that, and if that changes, if for whatever reason I need to up my volume, then I can. But ultimately, I know with call-ins, hey, I'm going to be in the chair from this hour to this hour. I know that the people are calling in are there and they're ready to talk. They called in that second to talk.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I've dabbled with outbound, and I liked outbound a lot when I was living the life of I'm in at this hour and I'm grinding, grinding, grinding. It was very
It's
very
yeah,
profitable, but like when you can't sit and just grind, 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 not that there's anything wrong with that, but if because if that's your personality, that still works.
right.
But if I have 4 hours or 5 hours in a given day, I want to make sure I talk to people. And so someone who fills out a form to have someone call them, well, if they fill out a form and I get the form at 9 a.m., but I'm not actually at my desk until 2 p.m. that day, I mean, that lead's already cold. And so that's what I was finding with outbound. So with inbound, I don't have to worry about that. Inbound, if they're calling in, they're calling in. They're ready to talk now. So am I. So let's have the conversation.
Awesome. So what do you think you spend every month on average in leads for your calls?
Probably about 5,000 a month, I would say.
All right.
It's usually about 60. I would say it's about 60 leads a month. Or yeah, 60 leads a month, two, 3 leads a day.
Okay. So you take 2 or 3 calls a day. And I mean, I say, you're writing 22% right now, but that doesn't factor in any spouse sales, any referrals or anything like that.
And
So
referrals
to
have
get to the
been
numbers that you're getting,
fantastic.
you
Yeah.
must be getting referrals.
Yes. I'm not as good. I need to get better on spouse sales. I will say that. I bring it up, but that's something that is my next 1% better thing that I want to work on. But in terms of general referrals, if you do right by people and you let people know that if they know anyone else in their life that could benefit from talking to you, that I'm a safe place for you to talk, which I am. I'm not trying to push anything on anyone. I'm here to give information, hear their problems, and if they have a question about insurance or if they have a question about what their options are, I'm here and I'll make sure that they get whatever's best for them. And so that mindset has led to, thankfully, a good amount of referrals of friends and family, things like that.
That's amazing. Because I mean, taking 2, 3 calls a day on average, and profiting 6 figures a year, that's there has to be something else to it, and it's the referrals that's coming from it.
Yeah.
So you are right. I mean, just looking at numbers, just round seg numbers, you are writing at least an app, maybe two, every single day.
That's my goal. An app a day.
Yeah, yeah, but you're only taking 2, 3, 4 calls a day to do that in 5 hours of time. You're productive. You're just a very productive person when it comes to that. And I want people to understand here that you may close 22% now, but it's how you work your business. The fact that you're even asking for referrals, and and even the snowball effect of the previous leads you've taken over the years, those accumulate. People call you back.
Oh, yeah.
There's sales. Yeah, there's sales from people from a year, 2 years ago that will come back to you if you keep following up with them. Like, it's not just you're taking 2 to 3 calls a day and doing this amount of production. It's kind of a snowball effect. You have this database of, prospects that called you, right? They may not have been ready right there, but at some point they were. So that all plays into it. It's not, you have rewrites, people who fell off the books, wrote 2.5 years ago, right? They may have stayed on for a year, then you rewrite them. Like, that all plays into your business and maintaining that level, because people might have trouble understanding, like, how does this guy take 2 to 4 calls a day, 2, 3 calls a day, net 6 figures a year, and only work 5 hours a day? And that's the reason I want to paint that picture. It's not just the calls. There's a lot of other aspects of this business that make you profitable if you work those, and you're working those.
And that's a time thing as well, because you don't have those clients from 2 years ago until you're 2 years in this business. You don't have the ability to rewrite someone who had a policy for 15 months, then fell on hard times. You tried to save the policy, it didn't work out. Or maybe they were a smoker before and now they're not. Or there's a new carrier that now they were with a guaranteed issue carrier, but now they don't have to be with a guaranteed issue carrier, and you can switch them over to their benefit, not just my benefit, to their benefit. And so that can only happen with being in the business. I couldn't do the volume that I do now when I first started.
Right. Got it. Okay, so let's switch gears here a little bit. So I ran some of your numbers for the year, just for this year, to look at your mix of business, because it's a metric that a lot of agents really don't look at, that I think is very important. And when I say mix of business, I mean level business versus graded or GI business. So you have an 83% level business and 17% graded or GI, and that's good. Okay, that's good. I can tell you have your field underwriting down. So, and I know you do, just from how you are in the agent community. So, how would you suggest agents get good at field underwriting?
So, first, I guess unpaid endorsement. I use toolkits.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's an amazing resource. Why not? But also use toolkits not only as just like doing the work for you, but as an educational aid, so that you know it like the back of your hand as well, especially for the carriers that come up often. And so, and then the other thing is learn those particular niches that kind of fall between the cracks with toolkits, where like if you see someone comes up for COPD, but they don't have a nebulizer and they only have two inhalers, like randomly enough, Aetna Protection Series will approve them, and it's a better premium than they'll get anywhere else. And so knowing just kind of those particular cases, and that's why it's really sticky business as well, because it's a lot of people who have been told, hey, you have to be GI, hey, you have to be graded, hey, you have to be GI, hey, you have to be graded. And it's like, no, we're going to take a shot over here. And if you get this, you better hold on to this with both hands, because this is the carrier that's going to give you better than anyone else. And those people are going to keep that on the books because they can't just go from one carrier to another. They have to keep this.
For sure. And I mean, I also noticed when looking at your mix of business here, you don't have a lead carrier.
I don't, and I know that you and Nick hate me for that.
No, I don't hate it. No, look, I say that because what new agents need to have lead carriers. When you're experienced in this business, right? You can do what you do a little bit.
Yeah.
But for in general, and so I say that because it looks like you write everyone pretty equally, including companies like Trinity Family Benefit Life, for example.
Oh yeah.
Which pay much lower commissions, right?
They do.
So how do you go about choosing a carrier after you assess their health? Let's say a bunch of them, COPD. A bunch of people approve COPD now, right? A bunch of companies do that right now. Okay. So how do you choose a carrier in that regard?
That's awesome. I love that question. I am all about finding a policy that fits the person. And that doesn't mean the cheapest. Sometimes it does, but it's about what's going to stay on the books. What application process are they going to put their best foot forward with? And the servicing of the policy that will help me, and I already just said it, keep it on the books. If you need, a person who changes their payment method 4 times a year for whatever reason, you can't go with a carrier that you need to have them sign wet signature on a form every time they change their bank. Moreover, if there are carriers where I can call the carrier and say, oh, hey, here's their new checking account, that's going to be someone that's worth an extra buck or two per premium because I know that's going to keep serving them. And so that's part of the conversation. If I get a sense that this is a person that's going to need a little bit more servicing of their policy to keep it on the books, well, I know what carriers are going to help with that more so than others. If there's someone that has a little bit of a story behind their medical underwriting, I know the carriers that are just yes or no, and I know the carriers that I can call the underwriting and say, hey, this happened 2 years ago, but this is what's going on now. How do we feel about that? So that's why I really do, there are carriers that I probably write more than others, of course, but I talk to a person, whoever I determine is best for them based upon what they are telling me, not only health-wise, but also lifestyle-wise and how they pay their bills and things like that. I'll go to the carrier that I think is going to stick with them, because if the policy doesn't stick, what's the point?
Incredible insight. I love that you touched on that. That's something I haven't really heard on how agents choose a carrier when they have so many options, right? Because you're not just going, like you said, you're not going, a lot of agents just choose the lowest price carrier of those that came up in toolkits, right? Okay, this one's a buck or two cheaper a month, I'm going to go with that one, without factoring in, like you said, how it's going to fit with that client you just had this full conversation with, right? And you have a good sense of what this is going to be. I love that you do that. And so I did notice too in your mix of business that you write Gerber Life GI guaranteed issue, right? Over all other guaranteed issue options. I see zero AIG business from you. So what is it about Gerber Life that you like?
One, I can call in most things without needing anything done by the client. They can call me, they can let me know, hey, can they take out 2 payments next month? Oh, I have a new card here. Exactly what I just said. The application, and also the application. Gerber has an interview line that you can literally three-way call them, and then they do the work.
It's done.
They
Yep.
call them and or not, they call them, you call them in, they talk to them, they do everything. Their agent portal is super easy to track everyone with. And the business is stickier, just in my experience. That's another time thing as well. I used to write a lot of GI with a couple other carriers. One now no longer is a thing, and the Gerber policies stick more. And they pay less, and it only is as earned. But again, if you're writing enough level business and you've been around long enough, as earned doesn't bother you, because as earned means if something does happen to the policy, I'm not going to owe a charge back. So it's just money that goes in my bank account, and I go, there it is.
Exactly. When you're writing 83% of your business level, that stuff doesn't really play in a lot. You're not writing a lot of GI business. So, yeah. Okay. So switch gears one more time here.
Mm-hmm.
Is there anything that you've implemented that's working really well for you right now? Like anything, something you're saying in your script, a process you put in place, some hack that you came up with. What is something that you're doing right now that you've implemented that's working really well for you?
Two things.
Put me on the spot.
Yeah, no, fine. Two things that come to mind. I'm sure 8 things will come up later, but 2 things that come to mind is I take a second and reinforce that I don't work for any of these carriers. I am licensed by the Department of Insurance of your state as an advisor, and I consider myself an advocate to help find you what's best for you. So you don't have to worry about me trying to fit a square peg in a round hole. I'm here to have your back. I am here to help you, not the carrier. I fully believe that if you can successfully create a bond with the client and that really make it clear to them that I'm their teammate, I'm watching out for them. Yes, I benefit, but I only benefit if they get protection. And that protection only stays on the books if it continues to help them. So my incentive is to do right by them. Not only that, my licensed fiduciary responsibility is to them. And so I would say that that's really, I don't know if it's a hack, but I do absolutely take a second to let them know that.
Absolutely. And here's the thing. The way you just said it has more of an impact than if somebody just read that, right? I could tell in your voice, just you saying it to me, how you deliver this and how much more impactful it is because you believe it, right?
I mean,
so I think a lot, yeah. But the thing is that a version of that is in most scripts, right? But the thing is, most agents kind of glaze over it. It's like they're just saying the words without the belief behind it, without the conviction. And I could see that being very effective because you have that conviction and you believe it. And that's why, but a lot of agents who would say the same thing that you just said wouldn't get that same sort of probably response from the person they're talking to really feel like they're on a mission with them now. Okay, this guy's got my back. He doesn't work for any company. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So really, really powerful. Would you say there's a second thing?
There is, yeah. And this has been a more recent thing, and it seems to have been working, but I would say over the past 2-3 months regarding people giving me sensitive information. So their bank account, their social security number. My former way that I would do it is I would downplay the significance of it. And I think that that's kind of the general school of thought about it. And it works, and Lord knows I'll probably go back to it. But lately, I've had tremendous success with actually building up how important I know it is that they're giving this to me. I know how sensitive a social security number is. I know how sensitive a routing and account number is. I can assure you, and then Department of Insurance, everything is, compliant with my license with the Department of Insurance. And if anything bad happens to this information, I would lose my livelihood because they could report me to the Department of Insurance. So I only have to ask you this question once, but now is that time. In order for the carrier to figure out if they can approve you, I do need your social security number. And so now is the time for that. Let's go. I don't end with let's go. But the point is that the
Yeah.
point is that I was running into enough times where I was like, and and your address, and how many beneficiaries, and your social security number, and that people were going, whoa, 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 my social, and it broke the train that we were getting on of I have your back, I'm your teammate. And so then all of a sudden I became a salesman who's asking them for sensitive stuff.
Right.
But if I really do take a second and say, hey, this is why we need your social. They need to make sure you are who you say you are. And you're not doing a medical exam. They have to look at your health history. Well, guess what's linking to your health history? Your social. That's how they figure out if they can approve you. And I'm here to let you know that I'm going to make sure nothing bad happens to this information. And that seems to have really been working. And again, it helps people get out of their own way.
Awesome. No, that's, there's various ways you can go about asking for that sensitive information. And I can tell you can pull that off. So not a lot of agents could pull that off. You could pull that off. So last question, Jared.
That was Jeff's way of saying no one else do that, by the way.
No. That's not at all. No, I think it's great. I mean, that is not what I meant by that at all. Even when you talked about, I know you're just messing, but even when you talked about the, you work for them, you don't work for any, like just how you say these things, like your tonality, your inflection, and the power in your voice, like how much you care, right? That all comes through in all of these situations. And so I hope people can see just how you talk, just how you present yourself. You present this competence, right? And that's what it takes to be in this business as well. These people need to know that you're competent in what you do. Mm-hmm. And for you to even go to those lengths to do that, that's not like what you said can absolutely work just as well as everybody else. It just depends on the agent that's going through it and how they're presenting it, how they're, how it's coming out of their mouths. So yeah, that's all I meant by that. Final question here, Jared. Yeah, final question here. What is the ultimate goal for you in this business? Like, is it an income type goal? Is it an agency? Is it like so you can go flip more homes, even though I know you didn't intend to flip this home, but
like, I don't know about that.
Yeah.
I would like, if you would have asked me this a year ago, I would have given you a different answer. I would like to now begin to learn how to build my business into maybe offering more products, but if not offering more products, the idea of helping newer agents understand things, or maybe mentorship, or ultimately maybe one day being able to work more hours, bring on an assistant or something so that I can utilize my time even more. I'm sure I'm overdue for that, but I would say, yeah, lately I've been very excited at the prospect of creating more of a business that's not just me. That's actually a brand and a way of doing this business that I can help people. Whether or not it will happen, I'm not sure. It's just, I know that when I was first here, I still have agents that are part of our community that help me every day. Mm-hmm. And there's something just very exciting to me about, even if I can't be at my desk, if an agent shoots me a quick text message with a troubleshooting problem or something of that matter, the idea that I can be like, yeah, try this, and then it works, and now they're a successful agent and their client got covered.
Feels
I
good,
think that'd
right?
be a really cool addition to my day that I think actually kind of fits what I'm doing with my own business, where I can be available to others outside of the office as well, in just a really simpatico way, if that makes sense.
Yeah, totally. So Awesome, Jared. Well, hey, thanks for taking the time. You've given us a lot of wisdom, man. Like the two
Yeah,
and a
I'm a
half, 3 years.
talker. I know. I'm sorry.
No, it's you're good. You're built for the phones. So that's a good thing. All right.
My wife
Well,
says that too.
all right. All right. Thanks, Jared. Appreciate you.
Yeah, always. Thanks, man.